interested in your understanding of what's called the God particle, which is related to the plasma that comes from quartz, that has this life giving, life generative effect, and is rumored to be almost a type of reverse engineering, potentially, of alien biological technology.
Hmm. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'm not aware. I'm aware of it. I've heard of it, but I haven't studied it. So I'm not gonna comment on something that I don't feel that
Sure, that's very fair. Thank you.
I'm in a position to talk about. But I've heard about it, and it sounds fascinating. And all I can tell you is that seems to be a lot of smoke burning. So there's got to be something going on there.
Thank you. And I got to it from piezoelectric quartz underneath the Giza pyramid, which I'm sure is something you know a lot about. But that's how I fell into getting to plasma, because I was looking at piezoelectric geology, which is probably your expert area, I would think.
Yeah, well, as far as all these minerals have a certain energy field, and they have a lot of different properties that people don't fully understand. Even to this day, geologists don't have a full understanding. But I mean, I'll just give you a quick example. I don't know if you've ever heard of something called Serpent Mound in Ohio.
Yes, I have heard of it.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you know this, but the Serpent Mound sits on the southeast edge of a 10-mile diameter impact crater. So there was an extraterrestrial impact that happened there that punched a hole in the earth and caused all kind of catastrophism with the rocks in that specific area. So a lot of the piezoelectric activity was altered, was changed. The geomagnetic properties of the area were altered, and it's not a coincidence that the indigenous people built sites like Serpent Mound um, at these impact areas. So there's a fun fact for
Wow,
you if you
thank
didn't
you.
know it.
Yeah, thank you. That's brilliant. I love that.
It's
Thank you,
cool,
Money
isn't
Penny.
it?
Thank you, Money Penny. I think Nate, you're up.
Yeah, I'd say again, Dory, you have your hand up. It's probably relevant, and there's going to be a lot of people that have like a more understand you more. I was at Cosmic Summit. I saw your presentation. I like what you're saying, but other people are big fans, and it followed. So maybe we can do that because really, I've kind of got what I think is some fireworks, and we could go into it. So
Some fireworks. All right. Well, I don't care anybody. I feel bad that I wasn't able to answer the question, but I'm not gonna bullshit anybody either. If it's not an area of
thank
my
you.
expertise, I'll just say
I
so.
respected that so much. I love that, and people take this to heart and like try it out. Like I don't know, right? Just like take that out for
I
a walk today.
I
I
didn't
don't
I
know,
didn't say that,
right?
did
Yeah,
I? Did
that's
I
good.
say that?
Yeah, didn't you? I think I heard that. That was a good thing. Like I'm comfortable saying I don't know. If I'm
Well,
misattributing, you just take it and run with it because I think it's pretty good. But yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, people can smell bullshit pretty fast, so I don't. We don't need that. So
Yes, yes. So Dory, then I understand you're a fan, and or you know of Scott's work. What do you have?
is Dory there?
Okay, I
Dory,
couldn't hear you either. Dory, if you we can't hear you. If you check.
just drop
Okay,
down. We'll
if
bring
you
you
would
back
like to
up.
drop down, come back up. She knows how to do it. She's a space cadet. In a fun sense, that has a new meaning, which is how to use spaces effectively. Not saying that she's dim, which is the other meaning. To be clear. Okay. Um,
Well, we had her before.
I
She's
am
coming back up.
staying.
Oh, there you are.
I definitely am. Okay, I'm back. Scott, I would love to hear your thoughts on cyclopean architecture. It seems that besides a world flood myth, there are lore, myths, legends, which are bearing out to be a lot of truth, that giant beings, or perhaps extraterrestrial beings that were here, were responsible for these megalithic structures that we see. And a lot of it is called cyclopean architecture, named after the Cyclops from Crete.
Okay.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And also, Solomon had supernatural help building his temple, but this is something they don't teach in Sunday school. You actually have to dig into that book and uncover what's you have to decode
Well,
what's
right, right.
right.
Well, yeah, and documents like the Bible and the Gospels are written on multiple levels, right? And
Yes.
unless you've been initiated
Haley,
with the
you
keys,
got
so
to
to
come over and
speak,
pick
and
this
the
one
eyes
up.
to see, you're not going to see what's really
Yeah,
being the
baby.
information that's being portrayed. This is what I was
Haley.
trying to say earlier when I was talking about the Kensington runestone. That's exactly what's going on the runestone. Is there's multiple levels that are encrypted within it. It's actually a brilliant document, and I just can't get over how incredible it is, and yet it's being treated like garbage, and it makes me crazy. And until that thing gets over the goal line, I'm gonna just keep beating my gums until it is. But hey, one thing I do want to just say real quick, and then I'll get back to your question about the megalithic sites. I'm going to be bringing a full size cast of the runestone to the Cosmic Summit. So when I'm giving my presentation, it's going to be sitting right next to me. And if people want to come up and touch it, it was made from the runestone. I had it made when I went over to Sweden 5 times. We took the runestone with us, the actual stone with us. And so while we were gone, they wanted a cast. So I had 4 of them made, and I, of course, I had to keep one for myself. So I'll have that at the summit, and I encourage people to come up and take a look at it. And if you have questions, I'll show you the goods. But getting back to the megalithic sites around the world, again, I'm going to have to say, do I know who built them? I do not. However, I think they were built obviously by a culture, a society, maybe they had extraterrestrial help. Maybe the ETs built them themselves. I mean, you have to come up with a way to explain how they were able to move these massive blocks, some of them weighing hundreds of tons in size. We simply didn't, humanity as we understand it right now, and that's my qualifier, certainly didn't have the technology to be able to move those things into place to build these incredible structures. So, what happened? Who did it? How were they able to do it? I think as more and more information comes out, it's pointing in a direction of humans as we understand us had help, and I just think that that's where the evidence is pointing ever more as we go forward. And I think it's just going to be a grand revelation at some point. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and it's going to be humbling for us humans. And I think we need a little humbling, frankly. Um, but this is the time. We're going through. I can't stress enough procession, and what we're going through right now is such a profound moment in human history. People just don't fully appreciate it. But I'm going to talk about the knowledge of certain things that have been known for a long time, but have been suppressed because humanity wasn't ready for it. But ready or not, here it comes. And I think
Awesome.
we're getting to the bottom of a lot of these questions that you guys are answering. We're not all the way to the bottom yet, but we are learning more and more. And again, I'll say this again, it's an exciting time to be alive. And I can't think of a better conference to attend if you truly want to learn the latest and greatest. The Cosmic Summit, you got to be there.
If I
Yeah,
come,
right
will you
on.
shake my hand, Scott?
I'll give you a hug. How about that?
All right. Okay, I'm probably gonna book a ticket.
Scott,
All right, that's a promise. That's a promise.
Scott, you were very nice last year. I asked Scott, I said, what do you think about Cosmic Summit now that you've been to it for 2 years? Are we doing okay? Are we doing it right? And he said this is the best conference that he knows of. Is that still true, Scott?
I'm telling you, man. I've been to a lot of places. I just went to the modalities conference in Wisconsin, and that was great. We had a wonderful time. But they got a ways to go to catch up to the Cosmic Summit.
Right on. All right, Nate, you're running the
Very
room,
good.
buddy. Go.
Yeah, let me just say, let me defer to Chief, and then I've kind of kicked the can for a little bit. I do want to dig in before we go too long and perhaps tired and can't dig in, and maybe exhausted, and then I'll have said my piece. But Chief, what have you got of interest here?
Hey, appreciate it. I was just listening in and I was loving the conversation. There's a lot to say because, everybody's into this disclosure narrative and it seems like it's coming out like crazy right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of the things that have come out recently as far as like the technology side of things. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Robert Salas, but I had the opportunity to talk to him at a MUFON meeting recently about some of the technology that I think we humans have made in terms of UFOs and extraterrestrial type um, things like fusion propulsion and teleportation, even. Um, but it seems like things are coming out in a weird kind of slow drip, maybe not slow drip type way, but also I wanted to get some of your thoughts on if you think Stargate, the series, was disclosure, because it seems like the idea of having superconductive circles that can do 7-axis telemetry is.
Hey, Chief. I'm not sure this is in Scott's wheelhouse. We're not doing UFOs per se, but
Well, I no, I'm okay. I mean, I don't consider myself a UFO expert necessarily, but I'm very versed in the subject matter. And as far as technologies, reverse engineering of alien technology, my understanding is we've been doing this for almost a century, for a long time. And I mean, I'm conducting this interview on a cell phone, and the touchscreen technology, my understanding, came from extraterrestrial technology. The other thing that I heard recently about that I was very interested in was the way that these extraterrestrial craft actually travel, actually fly, involves time travel. They're actually warping time as they travel. And, this is another thing that was talked about in some of the education materials that Holden shared with me, is that we already know how to time travel right now. They understand that technology. That was something that was also reverse engineered. And but a lot of this stuff is really powerful, and you've got large forces that are kind of running the earth these days. They've been running the earth for a long time, and there's a lot of money involved, a lot of power, a lot of control. And a lot of these people are not well intended. And I don't want to get into politics, but you just look at the partisanship of both sides is toxic. And for anybody that believes most of these people and what they say, you're silly. They don't care about the collective, um, and that's unfortunate.
You're
But
here.
these are the people that we elected, and um, I just feel like on both sides they're letting us down. And
I
I just feel the more truth that
Yeah,
comes out, the better off we're all going to be.
I couldn't agree
yeah.
more. And
Well,
if I could just add real quick, I wanted to say
please.
something about the Native American angle or just native angle. It seems like it's a weird concept to think of, but that Native American like healing traditions and just general ways to live was more of a tech natural way to be, and that they have more of a robust healing system than any of our medical institutes can put together
Hell
today, just
yeah.
on a general
Hell
well-being
yeah.
scale. Um, I was just gonna say the electric universe is somewhat a new cosmology. It's not a perfect cosmology, but there's whole new ways to look at the universe beyond general relativity. And I get we're not in that space here, but thank you, anyways.
Yeah. No, you made a good comments there. And um, yeah, the indigenous people, I say this all the time, they've had it figured out for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And how do you think that the Templars got to Minnesota to carve and place the runestone in the ground? They traveled with their brothers, the indigenous people. And unlike the Vikings, when they came over 1,000+ years ago, they were assholes, and they did not um, conduct themselves in the way that was compatible with the indigenous people. So they just took them out. But when the Templars came over, they were different, and they gave them the signs, symbols, and tokens that they understood, and they respected each other, and they bonded through intermarriage and through ritual. And so they became, according to the shamans I've talked to, I'll call them shamans or medicine men. Um, I participated in Ojibwa sweats. And when it was my turn to ask questions about the Templars, the medicine man said, "Oh, you mean our blood brothers?" And it went pretty good after that. So, um,
That's
a lot of people are, they don't like this Templars in America stuff, and a lot of archaeologists don't like it. But then I say to archaeologists, so do you have a problem with indigenous oral tradition? Oh no, we respect that. Well, then you better respect it, because they know all about the Templars being here. So just stop with your bullshit narrative that they weren't, okay? Because they were. They were here for a long time. And because they bonded with the indigenous people, they could go anywhere they want. And they did, including to Minnesota and all across North and South America.
Hey, Chief, do you
Nice.
have a follow up? Are you okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm from Minnesota, and Ojibwe was a class we were offered in high school, so that's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Well, I live in Minnesota too, man.
Cheers. I was just gonna add, it's crazy how much they throw the symbology in our face, while the elites know that the ancients and natives were completely right in their flow forms and use of sacred geometry. They throw it right
Yep.
back in our face at every turn with their corporations and cults and every
Yep.
everything you can imagine. So,
Yep.
I'll step down.
And it was,
Appreciate it.
yeah, you bet,
Hey,
man. Good
Scott,
stuff.
Dinger will be at Cosmic Summit, so you all can meet face to face. I think that's a great thing. And real quick question. So, he was talking about technology. If you had to speculate, what evidence and what do you think did the ancients have that we have not, been able to, fully put together and understand? What technology of an advanced type? I mean, you've seen, I'm sure, you remember Ben Van Kerwijk and the vases. I mean, some of those were from 9,000 years ago, and they are manufactured in a way we can't do today. So,
Right.
what technologies do you think the ancients had?
Well, I, I mean, again, the honest answer is I don't know what they had, but clearly they had advanced technology that they were able to, um, the construction techniques, the precision, the way that they're able to build um, some of these structures where you can't even put, you know, a razor blade between the joints is just unbelievable. And I can speculate and guess, but I just don't think that that's helpful. What I do think is interesting about what technologies existed in the past is it seems to me that they had some way of going from um, one space to another space or another dimension, if you will. And there was an ability to be able to travel interdimensionally. And I don't know if they were able to go from, this room to that room, or from this room to the other side of the world, or from this room to off planet. I don't know. The answer could
Wow.
be
So
all of
that
the
would be
above.
teleportation, right? Effectively teleportation.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But let me give you an example of what could be why that could be an explanation for one of the mysteries that has always confounded me. And we've done two episodes that dealt with Bigfoot. Um, what was the other one? The Honey Island Swamp Monster, which essentially was a swamp Bigfoot. But um, look, there are just too many people that have seen too many things for there not to be something going on here. The problem that I have is we've got grainy, shitty videos of creatures, running through the woods. There's no skeletons, there's no bodies. um, and at some point, if these things were some type of creature that was living on Earth like we all are, somewhere, some way, somehow we'd find bones or a body somewhere. That has not happened. So, what is it? And I just want to go back for a second and recall that I interviewed a guy in Minnesota, actually in the Lino Lakes area, where there's extensive swamps and lakes and wooded areas that are pretty remote, but not that far out of the cities. And I interviewed this guy in a park at a place where he said he saw Bigfoot. And he explained it to me. And we stood right on the spot. And this guy said it was right here, and then it went over to there. And I stopped him and I said, "You said it went over there. Did it run? Did it hop? Did it?" He said, "No." He said it was like it just glided, like it was on rails or something. It didn't lope like you would expect. And I'm like, "Really?" And then I said, "Well, what happened next?" He said, "It disappeared." And I'm skeptical about a lot of things, and I try to make sure I get as much information about a person's story as possible before I decide whether, what they said is true or not. But what I can tell you is that this person, I can't remember his name right now, I absolutely 100% believe that he believes everything he told me that he saw. Now, that doesn't mean that it's true, but that guy saw something and he got very emotional. He had tears. I could feel it. And the point is that if it disappeared, where the hell did it go? And where did it come from? Was this some type of interdimensional travel? And is that why we don't find bodies and skeletons of Bigfoot? Maybe.
Yes. And so many of the gargantuan skeletons that have been found were sent to the Smithsonian. Most of them were giants, but some of them may have been Bigfoot. They wanted to destroy all that evidence that pointed to it.
Well, I I just don't trust the Smithsonian any farther than I can throw them. And they had the Kensington Runestone for a couple of years. Did you know that?
I think I remember you saying that. I
And
mean,
that
it's a scandal what the Smithsonian has done to
oh
artifacts.
yeah, it's
And
terrible.
Oh, what
And
about the Nazca mummies then? That seems to be in this vein of reasoning.